Jim, but who protects Huck from seeing his father's body early on in the novel? It's Jim. He doesn't even want, that's, and we'll talk about Jim as a symbol, but that's what, it's another protective kind of aspect of him. And so for Huck, he's just running away, but Jim, he's running to freedom, right? And that is his hope to survive, because Jim doesn't just want to be free himself. He has a family, and he says, I'm going to steal them out of slavery too if I can't raise the money. It is his emancipation. It's how he's going to get out, and it's the hope that he can be a free man, right? And that's the river. Now the river, because it has water in it, and water is a universal symbol of purity and being cleansed. And so that's another symbol we can see here. Now I'm playing association game here. Water. What is water? Think about baptisms and things like that. What does it really represent? We can think about things we know. Okay, we have to use our toolbox, and we had a big toolbox. All right, it's not like this is not a tool belt. All right, this is like a garage case of tools that we need to have with us. All right, we put it on wheels and it goes with us. All right, and that's one of them is picking out things that have worked before for us. So water, we know it represents purity. We know that it works as cleansing. So what happens on the river? Huck is cleansed of his kind of racism and bigotry. See, right? And the pure relationship between Huck and Jim as human beings, not as white man and black man, can actually be built, right? Their relationship, is pure in that way. That's really essential, right? And then we have some other things like the raft, which is what they're traveling on, right? And where do Huck and Jim build their relationship most? It's on the raft, right? And notice that it's just kind of an aimless thing. They don't even really control the raft. They just let it float on as it wishes, because that's what represents their relationship. It floats on as it wishes. It's natural. It's not constrained by society. It's just, and they're not trying to orchestrate it either. They're not trying to maneuver it. They're just letting it be, right? But aimless isn't necessarily a bad thing. It looks like when I write it, oh, aimless, doesn't know what's going. No, it means that it's free to go, right? To build the relationships. They're free to do those things, okay? These are three symbols, and these are all related to the water and the river and the raft. And of course, most of the novel takes place on it. So it makes sense that we would look at it this way. Okay? And then let's take a look at the characters. I think that's really essential here. Is who does Jim represent? Or what does Jim represent? Because like I said before, a lot of people look at this and they say, oh, he's a caricature. That's, Mark Twain was treating him unfairly. And look, plenty of people say this. But I don't look at Jim as being treated unfairly or subhuman. I see Jim as being lifted up to being the best human. He is the best human in the book. The book, although it's about Huck Finn and his moral development, Jim already kind of stands morally developed. Jim has already kind of reached the point, the peak that Huck is striving to reach. Jim's already there. He's kind of, he's the guy waving the flag like, oh, this is where you get. This is how you get here. Come on. Okay? And so that's what Jim represents, because we respect him so much. And then of course we have Huck. What does Huck represent? Okay? Well, think about how Huck's relationship with society works. When he comes to understand himself, what does he end up doing? Pushing away society, pushing it away from him, right? And he comes to the point of self-actualization through his rejection of society. And I think that's what Huck really represents, is just kind of the rejection of society, right? Because and the goodness of it, how if you can push away the how society can be corrupt, it's not all bad, Huck kind of sees it as that, but he pushes society away and he gets better. And so that's what Huck is. He's just societal rejection. And you can also look at him as growth. Huck grows so much in this book. He started off a guy that's playing tricks on Jim, and he ends up someone who risks everything. He thinks not just like his legal freedom. He thinks he risks his morality. That climactic moment when he says, you know what, all right, I'll go to hell. And he tears up that letter, which is a real, I mean, that is the moment when everything has changed, because Huck is done worrying. He's like, I'm done worrying about what's right and wrong. I'm going to do what feels right. Okay? And that's because his society, he's just done with it. He's rejected society so purely that he's become Huck Finn as we know him, right? In his purest form. All right? Kind of undiluted Huck, best of Huck. And it's a really powerful moment when he does that, when he rips up that letter. And that's where we see the growth. So here's some symbols. And I said it's a limited book when it comes to symbolism. And I think you could probably look at it somewhat allegorically. You can look at each character, like what Shepburn represent, you know, kind of like, you know, the power over the mob. You can do that. I'm not sure if looking at it allegorically really creates a better understanding of the novel, or if that's kind of almost redundant because you've already seen that. But here's some things I don't know if you really did see, you know. And I think these symbols are going to help us build our themes, and that's what we're going to get to next. We're going to look at these symbols and the characters and the plot and all those elements, and really what we're supposed to get from this really rich textual novel.